Hi everyone, hope you're all doing good. Right, so we have a brand new edition of the Tapology Lucky Bastard game. It's the 21st edition, and we have 28 new players all hoping to win it, just like Costradamus did last week. So just go back onto the Excel sheet, showing us all the players which are in it to win it this time. We have A. I laughed my arse off an AZ. From here on in, we'll just call him A as we always do. Bellatrix, Boom Shakalaka, Cal Foth, Canhago Ruiz, Captain Quebec, C. Collins 44, Cheeseball, Cool Hand Puke, Costradamus, our current reigning defending Tapology Lucky Bastard Game champion after winning it last week. Damien Handel for 20, Dr. Maxis 2, Foghorn Sam, KK Kombu, Cushy Cake, Mason Zero, or Mason O, however you prefer it, Mule Floyd, Piggy Bank, Rigno, Shat, Schwer Industry, me, Stephen Terry, Ty Sumagamanov, apologies if I've butchered that one, the MMA Historian, Trail Allman, Trig, Troz, and Ex-Con Chris. So, there are 28 lucky bastards. And for the first round draw this time around, we have UFC 303, Alex Pereira versus Hiri Prochazka 2. Uh, Obviously a rematch of their first fight last year, which Alex Pereira won by a knockout in the second round after Tapology lists it as a left hook followed by hammer fists followed by knees, but I'm not into all that technical jarbo. Why is it saying screen shares paused? Are you guys seeing this? Resume share. Yep. What page are we even on here? Oh yeah, no, it's left you guys behind a bit there. There we go. Shitty computer. There we go. Should be on this page now. Right. But yeah, anyway, you basically just beat the shit out of Prochazka. But I'm expecting a closer fight this time around. Uh, to be honest, I can still see it going a similar way, but I can see Hiri Prochazka lasting a little bit longer this time. Alice Pereira is we very much know what he's about now. It's the same kind of style each time, mainly kickboxing based style with the always tries to squeeze a left hook in there somewhere, or at least that's what most of his combinations tend to end with, and it's worked so far for him. Obviously, Hiri Prochazka is going to be a little bit more wary of that this time around, I'm sure. As for Prochazka, he has quite an unorthodox style, so you never quite know what to expect from him. But I would say he is much better on the ground than Alex Pereira is. So that should probably be his game plan. Make it boring for the casuals, who fuck him, I guess, and just take him to the ground, look for the submission. Alex Pereira, I'm expecting he'll try to look for another left hand. And But overall, I can see this being another knockout win for Alex Pereira. So I'm going to win by fourth round knockout. Uh, anyway, you're not here to listen to me ramble about my predictions for that fight. You're here to see who you're going to get drawn with. So first up, it's A. Let's see who the wheel is going to hand out for the first pick of the new game. And he won't have to wait long to find out his fate for the next round. He gets Ricky Simon, who's in the very first prelim fight. And I think that's quite a good pick for him, to be honest. Ricky Simon's a fairly solid fighter. He's not always the most spectacular, but he gets the job done in his usual understated but effective way. Which leads to a lot of decision wins, and that's why I picked for this one. I think he's going to win a decision against Vinicius Oliveira. Oliveira, on the other hand, complete different style of fighter, got quite a lot of KO wins. He could catch Simon with something, but I'm expecting Simon just to he's a more experienced fighter, or at least has more UFC fights under his belt anyway. And I'd expect him to make that experience count with another decision win there. So all in all, a pretty good pick there for A. Bellatrix next to take on the wheel. And Bellatrix gets Anthony Lionheart Smith. Anthony Lionheart Smith there for Bellatrix. And he's had a bit of a resurgence, hasn't he? It's only a couple of years ago, or even a year ago, that people were starting to say he's a bit washed up, but he's been very active lately. He's won his last fight, and on top of that, I noted that he's got 4 fights. This will be his this will be his 4th fight in 12 months. So uh, obviously he's gunning for one last title shot, and you can't blame him for that. And honestly, that's the way to do it. If you want to do that, keep yourself active. If you've got a bit of form going, stay active, stay in form, and the momentum is a. I've got my lips stuck together a bit there. Momentum is yes, momentum is a real thing in MMA. I hope I don't have to say the letter M too much in this video. And I can see him carrying that through in this fight against Roman Dolidze. And so I've got him to win a decision there. So right off the bat, that is 2 good picks in my opinion. Boom Shakalaka next to face the wheel. And he gets Carlos Hernandez. Carlos Hernandez there for Boom Shakalaka. And yeah, there's a bit of an underdog there. He's plus 350 with the bookie, so not quite sure what that is in British odds because we use fractions over here, but I know that's not a good thing if your fate and getting through to the next round depends on it. But he's against Rai Tasura, who's 9-0, undefeated, fought in Pancrase and Road to UFC, and I know Pancrase isn't quite the phenomenon that it was back in the 90s and early 2000s, but they are still regularly putting on some great shows. In fact, they've actually got 2 cards coming up this weekend. Pancrase 344 and Pancrase 345, which will 344 is on Saturday, 345 is on Sunday. Not 100% sure of the times. Obviously, that will depend on your time zone, but they are good little cards there. They were worth checking out, and they're an underrated promotion. Is what I'm getting at here, and got to respect anyone that's put together a win streak in their under their banner. So what does that mean for Boom Shakalaka? It means I think we're going to be saying goodbye to him. I think that's the cold hard truth. And I've got Ratus Surara to win by decision. I mean, Hernandez, solid fighter, but he's not quite at Sosura's level, if I'm being honest. Calfoth next to take on the wheel. Let's see if he gets a little bit more luck. And he gets Mayra Bueno Silva. Again, I'm probably not quite pronounced that part right, but Mayra, I've not even spelled it right. Bueno Silva there for Calfoth. And that's a real coin toss fight against Macy Chiasson. I've gone with Chiasson for a decision win here, but I'm not confident in that at all. There is virtually nothing to split the 2 girls here. They're both minus 110 with the bookies. The bookies can't split them either. That says something. Mayra Buena Silva, she's 10-3-1 records. Chiasson 9-3 for 8-9-3, not 9-9-3, but 9 wins, 3 losses. So Silva's 10 wins, 3 losses, and a draw. So there's not a huge amount to split them in experience either. But So all I'm going to say is that's a coin toss fight. She's coming off a loss, so I suppose that'll add a bit of motivation for her, but that's a real 50-50 fight, that one. So yeah, Calfoth is, yeah, may as well just flip a coin, really. Anyway, moving on to Canhego Ruiz. Canhego Ruiz. Let's see who he gets drawn with for tomorrow night's card. And he gets one of the main eventers, Hiri Prochaka. Hiri Prochaka there for Canhego Ruiz. I'm not going to spell this one right at all. I've probably not pronounced it right. ZKA. There we go. And yeah, as I've mentioned in my introduction, I'm expecting him to put in a better performance than he did it last time against Alex Pereira. And he will be a bit more aware of Pereira's left hand this time and the sort of combinations and things he'll try and set up. And he's by far the more experienced fighter of the two as well. With I think Alex Pereira's 10 wins and 2 losses, and Hiri Prochaka 30 wins. He's got 3 times as many wins overall, 4 losses and a draw. Obviously, he's got that experience from being Rising's former champion as well, which, similar to Pancrase, is, I suppose, a step up from Pancrase. So, yeah, that's so. If anyone's coming over from Rising to the UFC, that's definitely something to make a note of. So he certainly has a chance, but I do fancy Pereira to win this one. But as I said in the intro, if Prochaka can take it to the grounds, that can make it very awkward for Pereira. So that's probably his, and consequently Canhego Ruiz's best chance of winning tomorrow night. Captain Quebec next to take on the wheel. Let's see who he's going to be matched with. And he gets Peyton Talbot. Peyton Talbot there for Captain Quebec. And 1 T or 2 T's at the end there. But, anyway, doesn't matter because he's probably the best guy you can be drawn with in this round, because he's definitely the biggest favourite on the card. -1,600, so that's 1,600. I don't know what that is. That's like what, 1 to 16 in decimals or fractions rather. Well, I've got him to win by first round knockout. Obviously he's 8-0, undefeated. As for Yanis Gemori, I've probably butchered that pronunciation. He's only had 1 fight in the UFC. He's still, I mean, Talbot's still fairly new to it as well, to be fair. But lost his debut against William Gomez. But back to the betting, he's +900 underdog, so probably worth sticking a pound on him, I guess. But that if you're happy to lose a pound anyway. But yeah, no, it's not an awful lot I can ramble on about that when somebody's that big a favourite. First round knockout is my pick, and Captain Quebec has pretty much got a free pass to the next round, unless a massive upset happens. But that would rank as one of the biggest upsets in the game's history if he doesn't. So yeah, Captain Quebec's got a very safe pick there. C. Collins 44. Let's see who he gets drawn with. Who's he going to be rooting for tomorrow night? He also gets Ricky Simon as well, just like A did earlier. And as I said earlier, so I'm expecting Ricky Simon to get the job done. A decision win, just general control of the fight, general gamemanship would be his key strength going into it. And as I said, Vinicius Oliveira's very flashy style of fighter, always goes for the spectacular, but I think Simon's got the experience to try and nullify that, and no doubt him and his team would be going in there with a game plan to take the sting out of his attacks. And yeah, I can see it being a fairly comfortable decision win. So yeah, that's a pretty good pick there for C. Collins 44, in my opinion. Cool Hand. Oh no, it's not. It's hang on, alphabetical. Why are you all beginning with C? Like, so many players. So many you got here. It's 1, 2, it's 7 of you with usernames beginning with C. But no, I misread it there. It is not Cool Hand Pew next. This is Cheeseball up next. Cheeseball is next to take on the wheel. So who will Cheeseball be facing in the? Well, not facing, but rooting for? He also be rooting for Peyton Talbot, just like Captain Quebec. So he's basically got a free pass to the next round, hasn't he? Yeah, first round knockout. That's simple as that. Not an awful lot I can say about your one, Cheeseball or Captain Quebec. I've already just rambled on about him a minute ago, and how he's a massive favourite and how I can't really see him losing. So yeah, enjoy the free ride into the next round. You can you got one of the least stressful routes past UFC 303, so you can just sit back, enjoy 303, nice beer in your hands. And actually, if you eat cheese balls a lot, I wouldn't recommend a beer. That sounds like a very sickly combo. But I've been in some states whilst watching UFC cards before. Not going to lie, so I'm not going to judge. But it's a free pass to the next round, basically. So let's see if Cool Hand Puke can also join the Peyton Talbot Express. And this time it really is Cool Hand Puke taking on the wheel. And that's right on the line between Roman Delitse and Anthony Smith, but the wheel says that it's Roman Delitse. So that's what it is then, isn't it? Roman Delitse. Obviously, that puts him at odds with Bellatrix, who had Anthony Smith earlier. So starting to double up a little bit. 3 different fights with 2 different people attached to it. So it'd be interesting to see which one becomes the Tapology Lucky Bastard Game main event for this one. But this is the first head-to-head, so I guess it's this one for now. As for Delitse's chances, it's yeah, as I'm picking Anthony Smith based on form mostly more than anything. Delise, obviously the younger, hungrier prospect, if you're going by the stereotypes of the veteran versus prospect kind of matchups that the UFC just loves to make. But yeah, I'd say Smith's going to use that experience to get a decision win here. Especially seeing Roman Delice's had decision losses against Nasruddin Imavov and Marvin Vettori as well. So yeah, maybe that's obviously something that Smith and his team have looked at, just like, right, if we can take him the distance, just be the better fighter, be more active, do the more impressive work in the. I think it's only a 3-round fight they've got in this one. That'd be certainly an interesting fight for 5 rounds, but they've only got 3 rounds to do it, and I can see Anthony Smith doing it. So yeah, not a very good forecast anyway for Cool Hand Puke. Costradamus is up next, our reigning defending Tapology Lucky Bastard Game champion, having won the 20th edition. Let's see who's going to be drawn with. Let's see who's going to be the first fighter fighting for his defense. And he gets Vinicius Oliveira. Vinicius Oliveira there for Costradamus, which I was just saying about the concept. Oliveira. Oliveira. Yeah, I know who I mean. I was just saying about the concept of the no, excuse me, the Tapology Lucky Bastard Game main event, and yeah, obviously he's Ricky Simon's opponent, and so that puts him at odds with A and C Collins 44. So it looks like our very first fight could be our main event for it. as I've already spoken enough about Ricky Simon, but as for Vinicius Oliveira, he's mostly won by KO up until this point. Does have a submission win, to be fair to him, on his resume, but I can, yeah, I think he's going to have to try and carry on, find another flashy knockout win if he's going to get through this round. That's probably his best chance. Just try and catch Simon with something, and that'd certainly be a good name on his record. That would really sort of propel him up. If he does win, he certainly won't be the first on the first fight of the next card. That's for sure. But definitely the underdog in that one, if I'm being completely honest. Damien Handel 420 is next to take on the wheel. Let's see who the duck gets drawn with. And after a string of fighters sort of doubling up, we get a new one here, Charles Jourdain. How have I not spelled that right? Jesus. Yeah. Anyway. I've backed Charles Jourdain to win this one anyway, his fight against Gene Silver. Got a decision win for him with my method of victory. A little bit of a rough patch as of late, but I'm sure he'll find his form again. He's a quality fighter, and he's one of those. I can see him quietly hanging around the UFC for a little while to come, to be honest. Not necessarily troubling for titles or anywhere near the top end of the featherweight division, but definitely definitely a gatekeeper that the UFC is going to be keeping around for a bit. And I think he's got enough quality to see off Gene Silver's challenge. Has looked impressive so far in the UFC. Be fair to him, he's only had the one fight. It's KO of Weston Wilson rather, and also a contender series Illuminati, and yeah, so he's certainly got some good credentials going. It won't be an easy fight, but I reckon Jourdain and his experience will be enough here. Dr. Maxis 2 next to take on the wheel. When the wheel actually loads. There we go. And Dr. Maxis 2 also gets drawn with Hiri Prochaka, who else had Hiri earlier? It's Kanhego Ariz has Hiri Prochaka in the main event. And yeah, as I said earlier, best option, take it to the ground, in my opinion. Try and find that submission win. It's even though we have seen Alex Pereira on the ground a few times, I wouldn't say there hasn't really been any fighters that have really effectively been able to take him to the ground and keep him there and really give him some trouble, which for light heavyweight, when you think of the fighters they've got in that division, that's surprising, but maybe Prochaka will be the first to do that. That's what Dr. Maxis and Kanhego Ariz be hoping for. But they'll be hoping to hear and new at the end of that fight, at the end of the fight there from Bruce Buffer. Foghorn Sam next to take on the wheel. Let's see who Foghorn Sam gets drawn with. He's going to be in Joe Pfeiffer's corner tomorrow night. Joe Pfeiffer there for Foghorn Sam. And I've picked him as well by a second round knockout against Marc-Andre Barriault. And yeah, he's Barriault again. He's a decent fighter, but I think his last loss to Chris Curtis last time out was Chris Curtis did show his limitations as a fighter, so I'm not saying I was fully on the Marc-Andre Barriault hype train, but that fight did take a fair bit a bit of steam out of it, and I don't quite. It made me realise maybe it made me really get a more accurate level of where he's really at. And Joe Pyfer, he's a violent guy. He's got, of his last 5 wins, 3 of them of his last 5 fights rather, 3 of them ended in a KO win for him, and that's how I see it going for him again. I just don't think that Andre Barriault's going to be able to handle the pressure that Joe's going to come at him with. So Joe Pyfer for a second round knockout and Foghorn Sam to get through to the next round. That's my prediction for that one. KK Kombu next to take on the wheel. Let's see, who's KK Kombu going to be rooting for? And he gets Yanis Gemori. So, yeah, sorry, we're going to be saying goodbye to KK Kombu. In fact, maybe I should just strike his name off now, save everybody's time. I am joking, of course, but I'm also kind of not, because he's got one of the biggest underdogs we've seen for a long time in this game. Obviously, his opponent, Peyton Albert's -1/600 favourite. Yanis Gemori is +900 favourite. So yeah, I just it, no, I'm sorry, I can't even think of anything. You just don't have a chance. That is just unfortunate. That's the wheel decided to say fuck you to you, KK Kombu, and I'm sorry. That's all I can say on behalf of the wheel. I'm sorry, but yeah. You just have to hope we see a massive, massive upset tomorrow, but that would be a huge shock if he does win. Anyway, see you in the 22nd edition, I guess. Right, moving on to Cushy Cake. Let's hope he gets someone. Well, unless he gets the same one, I think he is the biggest underdog on the card. But he gets Martin Bidet there for Cushy Cake. Martin Bidet up against Andrei Arlovsky, and that's I've gone with Martin Bidet to win that. That's it again. This is quite a close fight, I would say, though. So I've gone with him to win by decision. Obviously, Andrei Arlovsky, legend of the sport, former UFC heavyweight champion, but now he's 45 years old, and well, let's be honest, he's well past his prime. He's still a solid fighter, still a solid gatekeeper for the heavyweight division, but I think Martin Bidet should. He's good enough to see off that experience and get a decision win. Certainly can't see him finishing Arlovsky, because Arlovsky's a very tough guy. I mean, obviously he's former UFC heavyweight champion. Of course he would be, but you know what I mean. I can't see Bidet finishing him, but I can see him outpointing him for a decision win there. So all in all, quite a good pick there for Cushy Cake. Mason Zero or Mason O up next to face the Wheel of Doom. And he gets Ray Tsutsura. Butchered that one. Tried to pronounce his name and my tongue was like, no, we're going to stay still while you try and say that one. It says Uruyya. And but the main thing is he's got a heavy favourite there as well. Obviously not quite as heavy as Peyton Talbot, but still -450 favourites. You can't complain with that. I say 9-0, undefeated, coming from Pancrase, and obviously competed on the road to the UFC as well. That's probably where a lot of people would have seen him first, even if they weren't watching Pancrase. But definitely well worth trying to get into. Definitely worth checking out their cards this week. They're putting on 2 of them, remember? And yeah, I can see him getting a decision win against Carlos Hernandez, who's a solid fighter, but not quite at the same level, quite frankly. So yeah, it's -450 favourite, and I think fair enough, to be honest. I think that's justified. justified favoritism. Sometimes in MMA, there's a fighter that is a favorite, and well, they're favorites for a reason. And Ray Tsurara is one of those. Again, I butchered the name again there. Apologies for that. Mule Floyd next to take on the wheel. And I was just talking about Andrei Arlovsky being a veteran. Here's another veteran, Cub Swanson. Cub Swanson there for Mule Floyd. I'm not going to lie, I've got Andre Philly to win by a third round knockout. I would say it's mostly sort of. I'm not going to say this is a youth versus experience one, really, because Andre Philly's 34 himself. Cub Swanson is 40. For anyone that wants to feel old. But yeah, no, Andre Philly's still younger and I say more energetic in his fights. I suppose it's not really fair criticism. Cub Swanson's had his a couple of knockout wins as of his last few years, so himself. So that's not really valid criticism of him. But overall, Andre Philly's just a little bit fresher than Cub Swanson, in my opinion. I'd love to see Cub Swanson get a win because, well, who doesn't like to see the old boys getting showing that they've still got it and getting a win? So that's what I'm hoping for tomorrow night. But realistically, I've gone with Andre Philly, win by third round knockout. He does hit hard. At the end of the day, Cub Swanson's chin has already been cracked a few times. So, yeah, a bit of an underdog there, I'm afraid, Mule Floyd, but as I suppose he got a sentimental value there anyway. Maybe, just maybe, you can pull off one more upset. Piggy Bank next to take on the wheel. Let's see who he's going to be drawn with. And he also gets Hiri Proshaka, who has quietly been amassing quite a few people on this card. I think this is his third one now. Let's see, Dr. Maxis got drawn with Hiri Proshaka. And so did Kanhego Ruiz. So yeah, that's the third one now. So maybe the main event will be our Tapology Lucky Bastard Game main event. But it's 3 versus 1. No one's actually got Alex Pereira yet. But yeah, I'm going to try and avoid repeating myself too much. These videos are bad enough as they are. So I'm just going to refresh, say, take it to the ground. That's probably your best chance. And watch out for that left hook. And you'll certainly be more prepared anyway. So I'm going to expect a more competitive fight than last time anyway. Rigno is next to step up to the plate and take on the wheel. And the wheel is drawn in with Michael Venom Page, MVP Michael Venom Page, and yeah, that is former Bellator star, obviously. He basically was the promotion for the nights he was fighting. As I remember when Bellator came to London last year at some point. I can't remember exactly when it was now, but he was headlining the event. And for context, MMA is still a fairly niche thing in the UK. But if you are following MMA at all, if you are going to speak with anyone about it, it's going to be about the UFC. But Bellator went all out for their marketing of that event. They had it on the sides of buses. I remember in particular, on the bus I get to work every day as a double decker, and it's they had MVP against Storley, wasn't it? Logan Storley on the side of the bus, and yeah, that was good memories of that. Nice to see a bit of MMA advertisement in and around the city. Mind you, having said that though, yeah, no, having said that, even the times the UFC's come to London, I've not seen as much marketing as Bellator did then when they went all out for it. I remember one of my colleagues at work who only follows the UFC just actually taking an interest in that event just because of all the advertisement of it. And I'm getting sideswiped here. You don't want to hear my rambling stories of MMA in London, do you? But anyway, back to the fight. Uh, Ian Machado Gary's his opponent. I've got him to win by decision. So coincidentally, if he does win, then that'll be Michael Venom Page's first loss since that card in London, where I had all the posters around, more posters than all the UFC ever put out there. But yeah, anyway, I keep fucking losing my track there. I could that was just a good month or so of build up for it, so I could ramble on for ages about that. But anyway, I've got Ian Gary there to win by decision. Got decision wins against Jeff Neal and Neil Magny, which I'm going to be completely honest, I rate those wins higher than a lot of the people that Michael Venom Page fought in Bellator. He's a very good fighter, don't get me wrong, but it's and I suppose, yeah, he's always had that sort of can crusher label to him, but it's a little harsh because he has fought the absolute best that Bellator have to offer, and it's not exactly like Bellator. They're not exactly a regional promotion themselves, but they are. They're not quite at the same level as the UFC. So Ian Gary's fought the higher level opponents, in my opinion, and that's that experience. Despite all of the people that Michael has fought over in Bellator, it's quality over quality over quantity. What I'm saying. But anyway, Ian Gary for a decision win, and let's see more MMA posters on the side of buses. That's what I'm going to say about that one. Shat next take on the wheel. He also gets Martin Bidet. Martin Bidet there for Shat as well. So there's now a couple of fights who got a bit of interest in with more than one people. More than one people. Oh, you'd never guess English was my first language. Some of my pronunciation speech, would you? But no, it's Cushy Cake also has Martin Bidet. More than one person was meant to say there. Yeah, as I was saying, expecting him to get a decision win against a tough but past his prime Andrei Arlovsky. And yeah, so it's yeah, it's a bit, well, not really a lot I can add to that, really, is there? So good pick there for Shats, and also consequently Cushy Cakes as well. Schwer Industry next to take on the wheel. Oh, okay. So it looks like the main event will be our main event for this round, as we have the first person drawn with Alex Pereira. So it's Alex Pereira there with Schwer Industry, and Schwer Industry consequently with Alex Pereira up against the three people with Hiri Prashaka, which Piggy Bank, Dr. Maxis 2, and who else was it? It was Kanega Ruiz. So yeah, certainly a bit of interest in that main event now, if there wasn't already. So yeah, that's the first time the favourite has been picked in that one though, and the one that I fancy to win, I've got him by a fourth round knockout. Largely based off his performance last time, but as obviously Irupashaka, as I've recommended, he should try to take it to the ground. But I think Pereira's gonna he's gonna try and keep it standing. And to be honest, I think Hiri Prashaka will also prefer to keep it standing as well, because he's got a fair bit of Muay Thai experience. So that'd be a very interesting striking battle, and I think that's what Hiri would prefer. So, and if he does, then in all honesty, I think it's only a matter of time until Pereira wins that exchange. So yeah, fourth round knockout for Alex Pereira there, and Schwer Industry gets the more favourable side of that matchup. Me, Stephen Terry. Let's see who I get drawn with. And I get drawn with Mayra Buena Silva in that absolute toy toss of a fight I said earlier. So as I've mentioned, I have backed Macy Chiasen for for my Tapology picks, but that is as good as a guess. Nothing to split these two girls, in my opinion. So so yeah, that's I can't really complain about that one. So yeah, that's I'll just be waiting on a 50-50 chance to see if I get through tomorrow night. But certainly adds a bit more interest for that fight than there was already. Tyson Magomedov next to take on the Wheel of Doom. Let's see who he gets drawn with. And he also gets Joe Pfeiffer as well. Joe Pfeiffer comes up again. Foghorn Sam had Joe Pfeiffer earlier on, and as I've mentioned as well, second round knockout for him. You can expect if Chris Curtis was the one to really expose Marc-Andre Barriol, and while I do see Joe Pfeiffer as a slight step down from fighting Chris Curtis, he's still I fancy him to beat him. I still fancy him to get the better of Marc-Andre. So, yep, that's a second round knockout win for my prediction there for Tyson Magomedov, and I think he's going to go through to the second round. To be fair, I think the wheel overrules actually is obviously well, not KK Kombu, but for most of you, I think the wheel has actually been fairly kind this round. So let's see if that streak continues with the MMA historian, who's next to step up and face the wheel. And he gets Anthony Lionheart Smith. Well, always appropriate when somebody called the MMA historian gets drawn with one of the veterans. Always like to see that, just for the aesthetics of it. But yep, are going to win by a decision, as I've mentioned earlier, against Roman Delice. Again, the Delice, good-looking prospect, but came up short against Imavov and Vittori, and kind of showed his limitations a little bit if he's forced to go the distance, and that's something Anthony Smith has tons of experience in, and experience I'm expecting him to make count tomorrow night. So yeah, I think that's quite a good pick there. For saying keep that streak going. Will for the last four. Only got four left to go now. Trail Allman, Shrig, Troz, and Excon Chris in that order. So Trail Allman next to take on the wheel. Oh, yep. Okay, so that confirms it. The main event is indeed the Tapology Lucky Bastard Game main event. Now it's 2 versus 3 for it. Alex Pereira also being drawn for Trail Allman, just like he was for Schwer Industry. And yeah, it's as I've mentioned quite a few times now. If he's smart about it, Prochaka should take it to the ground, but he's going to want to keep it standing. That's going to suit Pereira down to a T, and Pereira should get the knockout win if after only a matter of time. I haven't seen anyone in the light heavyweight division who I can honestly say is going to be comfortable standing with Pereira. I'd definitely the best striker in that division for sure. So so yeah, that is a pretty good pick. I'd say certainly the one I favour for the main event. And next up is Trig. Let's see who Trig gets drawn with. And going from the last fight on the card to the first fight on the card, Ricky Simon. Ricky Simon there. So again, that's a good pick as well. Decision win against Vinicius Oliveira. Experienced enough to take the fire out of Oliveira's very violent fighting style, very flashy, spectacular fighting style. Makes for great viewing. Not always the smartest approach to take, but maybe he can land something on Simon. But I can't. Oh, I mean, obviously can land something. Not having a single significant strike would be pretty impressive in its own right, but not finding the knockout is what I meant. But yeah, anyway, I can see Ricky Simon controlling that fight. So I mean, so that fight's come up quite a few times. I feel like Ricky Simon's come up quite a few times already. Don't think it has it. Vinicius Oliveira's come up as well, so there's quite a bit of interest in the first fight as well. At this point, I'll probably just leave it for you guys to decide which one's the most interesting. But I think you're going to go with the main event for the Tapology Lucky Bastard Game main event. Not that I means anything, it's just a little honorary title. Newer viewers to this will probably be wondering why the fuck's he keep going on about this main event, blah 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 blah. Well, no, it's good. The reason is because there is no reason. The reason is there is no reason. Yeah, it's just the one that it's just whichever fight happens to be have the most people involved with it on either side of it. But anyway, moving on, we have Troz next to take on the wheel. And he gets Gene Silver. Gene Silver there for Troz, and yeah, that's the first time Gene Silver's come up. Obviously Charles Jourdain's come up earlier as well, but yeah, Charles Jourdain's the one I fancy for that one to win by decision. More experienced fighter, and yeah, I can see him just making that experience count. Gene Silver, let's try and give him his flowers. Let's try and give him his props. Let's play devil's advocate as to why he could win. Contender Series Alumni, and obviously you have to be pretty skilled to make it onto that show. And he's looked good so far in the UFC against Weston Wilson. So he's he's certainly got potential. Let's see if he carries on that potential against Charles Jourdain. Tross was certainly hoping so, but it would be a bit of an upset if that happens. And finally, ex-con Chris to take on the wheel. And yep, well, I suppose this adds to the argument of making the first prelim fight the Lucky Bastard Game main event. So he gets drawn with Ricky Simon as well. So yeah, not really a lot I can say to that now. How many people have got Ricky Simon? That is one. Trigg also got Ricky Simon. So did C. Collins 44. And so did A. So yeah, that's quite a bit of interest in him. I think he's going to control that fight. I think he's going to win it. And those four certainly will as well. Right, so that wraps up the first round draw for the Tapology Lucky Bastard Game, 21st edition. Just to quickly run through those fighters and who's been drawn with who, we have A with Ricky Simon, Bellatrix with Anthony Lionheart Smith, Shakalaka with Carlos Hernandez, Cal Foth with Mayra Bueno Silva, Kenhego Ruiz with Hiri Prochaka, Captain Quebec with Peyton Talbot, the biggest favourite on the card, 1,000 minus 1,600, remember. C. Collins 44 with Ricky Simon. Cheeseball also with that massive favourite Peyton Talbot. Peyton, the free ticket to the next round, Talbot. That doesn't have quite a ring to it. Can't see Bruce Buffer pronouncing that one anytime soon. But Cool Hand Puke with Roman Elite. Costradamus, our reigning defending champion, starts his defence with the slight underdog Vinicius Oliveira on the first fight on the cards. Damien Handel 420 with Charles Jourdain. Dr. Maxis 2 with Hiri Prashaka. Foghorn Sound with Joe Pfeiffer. KK Kombu is out with Yanis Mori. I'm joking there. You're not out until he loses, but I do feel that is a bit of an inevitability. Cushy Cake with Martin Bidet. Mason Zero with Ray Serrara. Mule Floyd with Cub Swanson. Piggy Bank with Hiri Chaka. Rigno with Michael Venom Page. Chat with Martin Bidet. Schwer Industry with current light heavyweight champion. He's never make lightweight, would he? Light heavyweight champion Alex Pereira. Me in an absolute coin toss fight with Mayor Bueno Silva. Tyson Magamanov with Joe Pfeiffer. The MMA historian with Anthony Lionheart Smith. Trail Allman also with the champion Alex Pereira. Trig with Ricky Simon as well. Troz with Gene Silva. And ex-con Chris also with Ricky Simon. So, that concludes the first round draw. All in all, I think the wheel's actually been fairly kind to a lot of you. I'd expect to see over half of you still in the next round, I'd reckon. But anyway, all that leaves me to say is obviously good luck with your picks. Good luck for any bets you might have on this card. Obviously, good luck with the with this game. With that's the whole point of the game, isn't it? Being lucky. Luckiest guy wins, or luckiest lady wins, or luckiest play wins. Luckiest robot wins. I don't know. Some of you might be bots. I don't know. But anyway, until next time. So long for now.